It's another very beautiful edition on Asabi Africa TV this afternoon, as we are privileged and honored to meet a very eminent Nigerian, an elder statesman, eminent businessman, a man who has sacrificed for both his country and the business and the youth of this country in many spheres of life, a man who has contributed his quota from the private sector of Nigeria down to the political sector of this great country, a man you will never believe we are meeting this afternoon, a man who has a name that is synonymous with integrity, with credibility, and with political statesmanship. The man, Senator Gbenga Kaka, former Deputy Governor of Ogun State, Nigeria, two-time Commissioner in Ogun State, and a former Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We are privileged to meet him this afternoon in the city of Lagos, and he's going to be giving us direction on how the country is going to get out of its present challenges economically, politically, and also direction on how the young people of this season can also get themselves, get their bearing, and make a proper citizen for the betterment of the country. Sir, with all that honor, Daddy, we are so happy meeting you today in Lagos, and we've been trying to chase you for the past 1 year now. I mean, since your 65th birthday, and at the time you were out of the country, and some other time you were busy in your community and all that. Let me start by asking you this very humble question, sir. At this present time in Nigeria, at this present time in Africa, at this present time in our political journey of 55 years plus, can we say Senator Gbenga Kaka as a statesman, and as an elder statesman, a businessman, a politician, can we say you are happy? How do you feel with the project Nigeria? You being one of the great stakeholders, how will you define the project Nigeria? How do you feel about it? And are you happy?
To pointedly answer your question, I would say that, like many other Nigerians, I remain unhappy with the situation we have found ourselves. Unhappy with the legion of wasted generations we inadvertently created for this country. Wasted in the sense that we have able-bodied people, highly intelligent, naturally endowed people, but the system had inadvertently turned them into something else, making the future to appear very bleak for the younger generation. It is particularly more sad when you realize the fact that the earlier generation before us, up to the time of our own generation, we had the best this country will offer. You talked in terms of education.
Yes, sir.
You talked in terms of agriculture. You talked in terms of economy and general industrialization. You talked in terms of provision of basic necessity of life. I think we had them in abundance until the military incursion, the advent of the crude oil, and of course, the kleptocracy that attended both, to the extent that rather than people asking what they can do for the country, they were now demanding to reap where they did not sow, looking for the easiest way out, which unfortunately has brought us onto our knees. I can go on and on and
yes.
on.
Yeah.
But the truth is, we have a lot of things wrong with us, and we have wronged ourselves in the last 57 years. What we now have to do is to have introspection of what we have done right or wrong, and then try to navigate our way back onto the right path in line with the vision of our forefathers.
Okay.
Anything short of that will remain hopeless.
Now, I spoke to the former Deputy Governor of Lagos, I think 3 months ago, Senator Koforola Bokno, and just like you submitted, she also agreed that the military incursion was the prime suspect for the society malaise that we're going through now. They were the prime suspect for all the society challenges and the problems that have really rubbished our generation now. But sir, don't you think the politicians also have a role? I mean, the First Republic, Second Republic, a lot of people also agree, the school of thought, we agree that most of them also overblew their opportunity, they wasted their opportunity, and they were not looking critically into the future, and that was the reason why the military boys struck. So do you support the school of thought that the politicians were also part and parcel of the challenges that led to the total political blow-up that has turned us to the solid state?
I'm not out to join in the blame game.
Okay.
There is always cause and effect in every activities of human endeavor. Yes, we had the mismanagement of the opportunities by the then political class, a miscalculated attempt to right the wrong by the military resulted in a worse scenario. And unfortunately, it coincided with the period when the crude oil was booming.
Yes, the boom.
And it was an opportunity for anybody to help themselves with whatever is available. So the summary is not something we should be elaborating on.
Yeah.
Purpose of talking about it is to look back and have a diagnostic view of what befell us, so that from our normative position we can now veer into the future prognostically and see what is left of the available opportunities. From those available opportunities, we determine which one we can explore, which one we can tap into, how do we tap into it, what strategy do we adopt, and do we still have the manpower, do we still have other resources to get it done? Because the best idea in the universe can never translate into reality without, I repeat, without adequate financial backing. Now that we are in a recession now, you will agree with me that we are strained financially to even tap into the available opportunities. But notwithstanding, the first step to a kilometer race.
Yes, sir.
I mean, you take the first step,
yes,
and others will be following.
Yeah.
So that even with what we have, rather than squandering whatever is left for us, as we are seeing people still talking at this particular point in time,
yes, sir,
of excess crude oil money still being shared indiscriminately. I believe that if you are not just doing the usual thing, the ritual, annual ritual, in all the tiers of government, it seems local government are no longer even making any budget again. They don't make any annual budget again. They are just zooming along because they have been incapacitated. So the state and the federal, they make annual rituals, and create room even for transitory income spending.
Transitory income spending.
Yes.
Okay.
Rather than you have consolidated revenue fund, rather than saving all the money and plan effectively annually on how we harness the available revenue,
Yes, sir.
and how we deploy them as expenditure to the needed sectors to give us the optimal results. We are not doing that. Rather, we are looking for a loopholes of accumulating emergency transitory income
Funds. Yeah.
which will now be extra, like an extra budgetary provision within the system. So, giving avenue for leakages, seepages, and all manners of kleptocracy done with impunity. The normal thing is that you get overwhelmed because it is usually said that there is no problem with that solution.
Okay.
But when it appears that we are like wandering animals without any specific direction we want to go, then you became overwhelmed. You now become troubled that sometimes you wish that the bad dream you are seeing is not going to take place or not actually take place.
Yes.
So it's like a bad dream, but unfortunately it is a reality. So sometimes you unknowingly refuse to go through the news items, either newsprint
Yes,
or
the online.
online.
Or
So
the radio.
you feel like not getting involved at all. But sometimes you realize that, well, you have relations,
Yeah.
you have your children, grandchildren are coming, there are neighbors, and these things are affecting them.
Let me even ask.
Then the situation becomes more pathetic to those of us who are living within the rural area.
I asked General Samoma, a former Minister of Science and Technology, the same question. I also asked General David Gbenga some time ago, that was I think 3 months ago in Ibadan, the same question. I said, sir, at 77, that's for General Gbenga. And for General Samoma at 74, are you afraid for your grandchildren? Are you afraid for your children? When you look at this situation, you look at the story of corruption, you look at the dream gone sour, you look at the country, man-no-man syndrome that is going on, dependency syndrome everywhere. Do you feel so sad when you look at those your children, your lovely children, your beautiful grandchildren? How do you feel?
As far as I'm concerned, I'm not feeling sad.
How do you mean, sir?
I only pity them. I pity those children. Right now, we deprive them of the opportunity we enjoyed. But why I'm not feeling too sad for them is that they did not see the past. So they are not having the opportunity to consider what we enjoy with what is available to them now. So that's why I said I pity them, but we can help them with determination by giving them solid education. With education, you will be pricking their conscience, you will be sharpening their reflexes along innovative and new discoveries, new ways of doing things. But without education,
It be the dark.
there's no way they can be able to challenge the establishment. So what we needed now is not feeling sad for them, is merely pitying them and going all out to chart a good direction for them.
Good path.
Starting from solid education. Not the type of education we are giving them now,
Yeah.
that is making them more or less half-baked
Highly half-baked
citizens.
Yep.
Not only that, the type of education we are giving them that is making them unemployable.
Highly unemployable, sir.
So that when you look at it, we are all guilty, and where the sadness is likely to creep in
Okay, sir.
is the fact that all the elites that are foolishly thinking only of their own children, thinking that once they are well educated, then they have secured their future. They are the one that should feel sad, because whatever amount of money spent on their own children,
Yep.
they are coming back into the system.
The same society.
Yes, the same society where there will no longer be special, as they have special school either in London, abroad, or anywhere, or even within the country. The so-called private school that is even not up to the standard of what we enjoyed in those days.
Of course.
Then they will now come back to join the children of the poor that are ill-equipped in working under the same atmosphere.
Yeah.
It's like the children that were educated under the air conditioner, and then they now finished, they are going to work,
Yes, sir.
joining the children of the poor in the sun. There's no way they can adapt.
They can't cope.
So they will now become disadvantaged, and what their own parents had done to the less privileged ones will now
Return back to them.
practice it.
Repeat back to them in double fold. Sir, talking about it further, really, you've spoken about something about the elites and the negligence of the elites to look critically into the issue of creating an evolving society.
Negligence and greed of the elites.
Yes, negligence and greed of the elites to give a holistic approach to the issue of education and human development, human capacity development. Sir, do you want to agree with me that the old generation of politician leaders, let me ask with total humility, do you want to agree that you failed in your responsibilities?
Not my own generation,
Okay, sir.
but all of us, without exception. The leadership, the followership, we are all guilty of what we are having now. When you look at what is going on in the society, from the spiritual angle, I mean the clerics, both Muslim, Christian, and even the traditionalists,
Good. That's what I want to hear.
they are all involved. The royal father that are supposed to be the custodian of our culture, of our values, they are all involved. The politician, they are neck deep in this.
The teachers too.
The administrators, civil servants,
Yeah.
the teachers, the private sector, they are all deeply involved. They are all accomplices. And when you now talk of the rulers or the elites, you come back to the downtrodden, who allowed the dignity in labor to slip off the hands of themselves. Because if the elites are out
Yes, sir.
to enslave them, if they believe in dignity of labor, they will go all out to render the services needed by the elites and serve them to dryness. They should serve them and make them to pay for their own services.
Okay, you mean the poor?
Sure,
The ordinary people.
that's what I mean.
So
That the followers.
How did they force the elite that is adamant, that is ready to cheat?
Excuse me, there are so many jobs they can't do.
Okay.
So it's a matter of demand and supply if they are ready to work. But where I'm going, and you are jumping at the gun,
yes, sir,
is that this same set of people have lost dignity in labor, and they now prefer to live as a beggar, waiting for handout from the same oppressor elites to give them handout from time to time for a livelihood, rather than inventing a way of rendering sort of services that will serve the money from the elites. Yep. For example, this is a dress I'm putting on.
Yes, sir.
The children of the elites, they don't want to watch.
Of course they don't want to
so
wash.
So if they can't do the washing, what stops the poor sharp from going out, put a price tag, and do the work for them and get the money from them so that they can develop themselves?
Become the laundry.
So what stops them from saying, okay, fine, you are a school certificate holder,
yes, sir,
you have no job, and you keep on complaining you have no job, you are looking for handout, whereas some uneducated ones are coming to the homes of the elites,
yes, sir,
as maids, getting up to 20,000
per month.
Per month, some 25, some 30,000. Then what is the arrogance? That somebody with a school certificate cannot go in there, eat their food free of charge, use their soap, use their clothing, everything, and then within 1 or 2 years, equip themselves to further their education and then establish themselves.
That's good.
So these are things that we need to inculcate in our youth in order to rediscover the dignity in labor.
But there's no nationalization. The nationalization system is almost poor. There is, in the olden days, in Ogun State, in your own states, there is a song of
I pity our dear brother, Dr. Garba Abari, the current Director General of National Orientation Agency. I see him as a man of honor, as a man of integrity, but he's been saddled with National Orientation Agency without adequate funding. Just like I stated at the beginning of this interview,
yes, sir,
I told you that the best idea in the universe can never translate
without funding
into reality without adequate funding. So in case of National Orientation Agency, it was well conceived but badly executed. Then we are now in need more than ever before of that agency. Because we lost dignity in labor, the value system had collapsed, the education had collapsed, then people don't want to work, they want cheap money, everybody wants to steal,
kidnap.
We now need orientation from the grassroots, from the downtrodden, from the youth, to change their way of life back to what we used to know. Make it more viable and more vibrant so that they can reorientate our people towards anything positive. We start moving away from all the negativism.
Yes, sir.
All this nepotism, all this ethnicity, all this tribalism, all this deceit, all the negative traits that we have. We need to move away from those negative traits and embrace the positivities. It is when we do that, we can now say that those who are thinkers among us, those who are innovative, will now go into action. The world is a global village now.
Yeah, global indeed.
So we can pick knowledge from anywhere. once the orientation is good and we prepare the mind of the younger ones to have a breakthrough. Many of our children that find their way out of this country,
of course,
they make it, they match the best in other spheres.
Yeah, in London.
So there's no reason why the others left here cannot be brought to that level if we are serious and we are desirous of doing what is right.
We're talking about children now, development of the ideas of children. I want to ask you this question, and this is very significant. A lot of people believe that the procreation of private schools in Nigeria by especially government officials and people that have held political powers in the past and religious leaders have created a whole lot of a kind of a gush of departure, The children of the poor cannot afford this kind of quality education, and the public school themselves are not properly equipped. There's no money to even equip them in the first instance, and the quality of products is porous. And sir, do you think the procreation of private schools, that government need to look into it and give a strong financial backing, structural backing to the public school, so that every other person can get quality education? In a country like Nigeria, we cannot name 10 best universities from Nigeria, and I think that's a poor thing. So what do you think about the public schools that are run by churches that are supposed to give free education, that are supposed to even condone the children of the poor? They now take almost a fortune from the parent. So do you think that there's something that government should do about education, which seems to be the bedrock of knowledge economy all over the world now?
Well, the dislocation and disconnection that we are having,
yes, sir,
did not just start overnight.
Okay.
It crept in surreptitiously and gradually till we got to the level we are currently in. Now, having found ourselves where we are today, the government,
yes, sir,
or public institution, they have abdicated their responsibilities.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The family units, the community, they have abdicated their responsibility. Through reorientation, which I've just finished, unfortunately, many people are not aware
I know.
that National Orientation Agency is still in existence.
Of course, we have even forgotten, except maybe the days of Ramsar.
Dr. Garba Barry, a meticulous gentleman, because I've had opportunity to have contact with him. I know his worth, I know what he's capable of doing. But saddling him with a responsibility that is not backed up with fund, then it's like asking him to go and capture the lion with beer pap, which is rather unfortunate. So, coming back to the issue of public and private education.
Yeah.
Yes, you will discover that we now have more private,
of course, from
educational institutions,
yes, sir,
than the number of public institutions that we have.
I agree with you, sir.
While the private institutions continue to grow at geometrical proportion, that of public school is not even growing at an arithmetic proportion. It has become stagnated, at least since 1999. That is nearly going to 20 years.
20 years now, yeah. Yep.
So you can imagine the number of children, the population of children between the age of 0 and 20 years,
yep,
that we are already wasting.
Chunked out.
And what that one is telling us is that the existing schools are being neglected. If we have to talk about education alone, it will take us more than 1 month.
In fact, it's a
Because
painful,
if you want me to take it up on, if you want me to take it on,
yes, sir, it's a painful scenario.
if you want me to take it on,
Yes,
let it flow. Let it flow.
Okay.
If you want me to take it on, you first of all look at the federal government, the state, the primary. I mean, the state and the local government.
Yes, sir.
The local governments are constitutionally responsible, supposed to be constitutionally responsible for the primary education. the state government is supposed to be primarily responsible for secondary education. But unfortunately, rather than limiting it to states, it is currently under concurrent list that the federal government is also interfering not only with the secondary school education, but with the primary school education. If we are to do things the way it should be done, naturally, the federal government should have nothing to do with primary and secondary education. Beyond establishing the policy framework and put in place the implementation strategy, including monitoring. So if they can do that, monitoring and control.
Yes, sir.
So if they can do that, then you will now allow the local government to do their duty. Because if the private schools you are talking of, private proprietorship,
Yes, sir.
if they can stay one place with little or no control from the state government and they establish primary and secondary, then let local government design and determine what it wants to do with a primary school under its control. Let the state determine what it wants to do with the secondary school under its control. Then the tertiary, after going through the universal basic education, whereby you have free and compulsory up to GS3, then let people who can afford to pay for the education. Those who cannot afford to pay for tertiary university education, let them go to vocational or go to the polytechnic. Let us de-emphasize the issue of paper qualification. Then we will now be going to issue of restructuring. The constitution has to be tampered with if we are not going to produce a brand new constitution, which is the ideal thing for us. Then let us tinker with the existing constitution meaningfully.
Okay, sir.
Whereby each state will have its own constitution and be able to control the type of education that will be married with the specific needs of each state.
That's fantastic.
The specific needs of each state. Okay. Like I told you, that the younger ones,
Yes, sir.
if they embrace the dignity in labor, they will serve the elites. So if I discover that, okay, from my own state,
Yes, sir.
I can provide a need gap, discover in another state, by training my own citizenry.
Yes, sir.
I will concentrate on it and export them, export in quotes,
Yes, sir.
from my own state to other states.
That's it.
So
Yeah.
I will be wiping out
Poverty.
illiteracy,
Yeah.
wiping out unemployment, wiping out poverty by so doing. So I will emphasize. I can decide to emphasize agriculture. I can decide to say, yes, most of the schools that we call model,
Yep.
I'm going to convert them into vocational schools.
Wonderful.
And
Wonderful.
then nobody will be coming out from a place of primary education that will not get a place in secondary. And after leaving secondary, if you can't go to the university, you go to vocational.
Yeah.
And as you are doing that one, the vocation you are getting trained for is targeting the elites on how they are going to get that money, whether ill-gotten or legally acquired, how we will sap it from them, so that the gap between the haves and have-not can be closed or reduced to the barest minimum, so that we have a semblance of egalitarian society.
Let me ask you this question, because you are a former senator of the Federal Republic and you did well. Sir, you talk about local government being responsible for primary school education, but now the problem of the autonomy of local government council is still in the cooker. A law has been signed that there should be autonomy for the local government, they should give them the money, should not give to the governors again, that because what we have now is that most of the local government chairman just glorified touts, glorified boys to the governor. The rules are bad, but monies are being shared from localities to localities, among politicians and among rebel users. So it is going through State House of Assembly. What's your position about autonomy for the local government? Do you think we deserve it now than before?
I voted for the granting of autonomy for the local governments in the 7th Senate.
Jesus, that's interesting.
And we nearly got it through, but for the recalcitrancy of some state governors who didn't want it. Yes, those who are opposed to the autonomy being granted local government, they were afraid of the politicians. Specifically the governors and their appendages that were appointed as caretaker or imposed as chairmen of local government.
Yes, sir.
The division came by way of teachers who had experienced diversion of their salaries in the past, because the local government will take the money, the allocation, and will refuse to pay, rather diverting into some white elephant project that will yield them money. When I say yield them money, not revenue, but money into their own pockets. Now, all this is so sad, so heartbreaking, that how you will expect the most productive sector, the teachers, doing their jobs without even adequate training, without adequate content enrichment.
Yes, of course.
Then you now find out at the end of the month there's no salary for them to pay. It was then this idea of local government and state joint accounts were brought into the fore. So that with that one, whatever money that is coming for the entire state, there will be a direct deduction before the rest is released to the local government. So you can see where the thin line is.
I see.
So those who are afraid of supporting granting autonomy, they have their own case to argue. Those of us that are in support, we felt that if there must be democracy, let it be across board. So, and that's why we felt that giving autonomy to local governments will allow them sort of independence that will make them to localize their own operation to suit their need within that local government. There could be peer comparison.
Yes, of course.
So, but it should not be lumped together in a unitary way that the military bequeathed on us.
Yes.
Ditto for the states.
Yes, sir.
There's no reason why federal government should attempt to execute a program that will be unitary in nature. And that's why we keep on saying there must be a structuring, there must be through federalism. If state A is taking agriculture as a own priority, they can decide to say, yes, 10% of my annual budget for the next 2 to 5 years, it's going to be devoted to agriculture. And a sensible government doing that will know that as you produce agriculture, as you increase your agricultural productivity, then the produce that will be coming out must have endpoint destination. Hence, the populace that are going to consume it, that is the market, the value addition chain in form of processes that will lead to industrialization, then preservation, all those things, you will be thinking ahead. Not that you will do one at a time and then be waiting for the other. Simultaneously, you must be thinking of all this and synchronize them as to have the best result for your activities.
I want to ask you, what's the definition of restructuring to Senator Gbenga Kaka? I asked General Jembe on the same question. And what do you describe restructuring? Everybody has been shouting restructuring. the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar started the old noise, and everybody has taken it to a whole.
Atiku Abubakar did not start the noise.
Okay, sir. I was thinking it was.
It's been on even before 1999.
Wow, wonderful. Okay.
So, Atiku Abubakar is
Maybe
a later day converter to restructuring, but it's at the same time welcome.
Okay.
So, when we are talking of restructuring, it's as a result of fallout from the military imposition of unitary form of government.
Good.
That I've made reference to it,
yes, sir,
in the course of this discussion.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And the fallout from there was that we denied the states the opportunity to carve out an identity for themselves, to have a development that tap onto their ecological advantages, which a unitary government will not allow. Then, when you have that restructuring, it should be possible to tinker with the Constitution in such a way that we remove electricity generation and distribution from concurrent list, as to allow each unit of the federation to generate. If they like, they donate excess to the national grid. The national grid will be maintained pari passu, and whatever is left for them, they use it to their own advantage, according to the dictates of their need. So it is an all-embracing thing when we talk of restructuring. Then a situation where state A will generate money, like the goose that is laying the golden egg,
yes,
and another state
good
will now be tapping on those resources to the detriment of the one that is laying the golden egg. There can never be peace, because without justice there will never be peace. Then when you now leave that one alone, you go a bit further, like the educational system I've mentioned.
Yes, of course, which is very
like
important.
our health program.
Has gone banana.
So you want to give each state opportunity to maximize the resources available to them, and from there contribute, as it was done in the First Republic, to the common pool for our common benefits. So this restructuring is as simple as ABC, and is such that has got nothing to do with disintegration.
That's interesting.
It's supposed to be
there's a lot of fear in that regard.
a sort of unity in diversity, whereby you come, you promote competition, healthy competition among the different arms of government.
Healthy rivalry.
So, with the healthy rivalry, you do something better than me, I do another thing better than you, we compare notes, and then we move on. It will be better for the entire nation, and we all are all going to be better off for it.
I want to ask you this question. Amalgamation of Nigeria, was it a mistake or a mission? Do you believe that? Because a lot of people are saying...
That one has come and gone.
Okay,
so, stop crying over a spilled milk. So, it's come and gone. 1914. You can't bring 1914 back, and you can't turn the hands of the clock backward. So, where we have found ourselves now is that we are together as a Nigeria, and the general consensus is that we are better off
together
with the advantage of our togetherness and the large size to do a lot of things. Nobody is doubting it. But the component parts must be allowed to develop at their own pace, define their priority, and determine how best to pursue that priority without the others holding them down. So, if we have that, we won't be having all the mess that we're having within the system.
Just note, give Nigerians an advice for 2018. As an economist, you're also an economist, an agro-economist, and what should Nigeria do in the year 2018 to better their lives. Nigerians are disorganized, they are disoriented because of the economy. You can look at what is going on today. There is a shortage of petrol, people are hanging at the ATMs, no money, and petrol problems everywhere. People are psychologically, depressed and all that. Getting out of a recessed economy. What are you going to tell Nigerians to do differently in 2018 to help the government at the center and to also achieve greatness at the middle and at the grassroots?
It will interest you to know.
Yes, sir.
It will interest you to know.
I won't be too shocked, sir.
That the average man on the streets knows our problem more than even those that are leading us. They know the solution, probably more than the people that are leading us. The only difference is that they don't have access to power. They know the responsibility, but they don't have the authority to take charge of those responsibilities. So, ask me to give advice to Nigerians.
Yes.
I have done that in the course of this discussion. We need to get ourselves reoriented.
Yep.
We need to change our attitude to life, attitude to work, attitude to education, and embrace all the positivities as against the negativism. So if we can do that and now cap it with the fear of God, by stopping the primitive accumulation of what we don't need, so that we allow the resources to go around, then the life will be worth living for me and you and for everybody. Because many of the accumulations, we don't need it. I'm emphasizing it. Nobody will sleep in 2 rooms, and nobody can ride 2 cars at a time. Even within a single car, you can't occupy all the 5 seats there. So that if we are conscious of that, and if we do away with article of ostentation, learn to produce what we need, and learn to use what we have, the life will be more bearable for us. So, if we are not producing, our foreign exchange can never be enhanced. If we are not doing what is right, like we talk about electricity, which is the engine room for anything we want to do in terms of industrialization, value addition to agricultural produce, all this artisanal work, even education. Without light, can your computer work?
No, sir. Impossible.
So, can you catch up with the global world?
No, sir. Impossible.
So, we are already incapacitated. We inadvertently put our children into a disadvantage. And to get it done, we don't need to attack all the problems at the same time. Let's get our priority right. If I were the president today, the preponderance of available resources will be devoted to emergency declaration on electricity. We need to further unbundle it. We need to take it away from the pseudo-investors who promise to bring in expertise, bring in capital for the unbundled PACN. But contrary to expectation, they became a baby to be given feeding bottle by the federal government, by the central bank, which is very unfortunate. So rather than bringing investment, they are actually sapping. Without providing the electricity needed, They are always clamoring, they want to increase the tariff. Give us the product, price your product, let's make it open. If I have options of 3-4 sellers, I will pick the one I want to buy from, provided the price and the quality is satisfactory. Matter of demand and supply. Simple. So you do that one, you go to agriculture, another state of emergency. As you are producing, you are adding value. Adding value to enhance the storage. You are ensuring effective storage and providing employment opportunity through industrialization. And again, keeping the farmers, the potential farmers, that is the would-be farmers, within the farming community by providing basic necessities of life for them and their children, that we make the younger generation to embrace agriculture and stay in situ within those farming communities as to add value, as to enhance our productivity. That is what we need. Anything short of it will be wasting our time. And like I said, I've emphasized it before, education. You want to talk of electricity? You need education. You want to talk of agriculture and adoption of modern technology? You need education. Industrialization, you need education. We are talking of meaningful and functional education, not the wishy-washy education we are having now. So, making 3.
Yes, sir. Healthcare.
Then, healthcare. People are moving away from crude oil. Everybody is talking of clean energy.
Of course.
Are we going to be left behind?
Electric cars.
So if you must get in there, you need education. Education, science, and technology must be emphasized. They are worthy investments. They are not social services, but investment for the future. So, you and me and other Nigerians should think along that way. Do one thing at a time, and then others will follow. If those are done, and then we deal with the issue of transportation, taking charge, because transportation are not supposed to be social service.
But there's a problem.
They are economic services.
Yes.
Profitable ventures.
Yes, sir.
That those who know what the work is. You construct the road,
Yep.
it is motorable,
Yes, sir.
it is solid,
Yes, sir.
you shall toll, the money for maintenance will be generated from there.
We have
Small Ethiopia there lives on their airways.
Ethiopian Airline.
Yes.
Can't believe this.
And other countries, smaller countries, they make effective use as a revenue earner. That is the airways. The waterways also veritable. You know how much we are making from the port authority.
Yeah. I think I hear.
There are so many other ports that are undeveloped,
Highly undeveloped.
and the last 20, 30 years, not a single addition of ports, which we can do. In our present Ogun State, we have the deepest water.
In Ogun State.
That's the same water side there.
Okay. Okay, sir. And no development.
Once developed, many of the sheep that cannot bath in Tinkan or whatever you have in Lagos here
Yes, sir.
can readily bath there. But we refuse to develop. We were having the oil money coming in, rather than channeling it to what will guarantee our future. We'll continue living as if tomorrow is going to be the last, and as if there will be no generation coming after us. That is the sad aspect of it. But we can do all this, we can still do it. They are doable. And there are things that will guarantee the future.